Okay, good Shabbos, good Yom Tov. You know the Hashem Tov says, whenever you meet true friends, it's Shabbos. Anyway, you know, the first time I was in Russia, when I played in Leningrad, I said to Yidden, good Shabbos, good Yom Tov. First of all, good Shabbos, because Mamash, we are the best brothers and sisters, right? That's Shabbos. But Gewalt is Yom Tov, because I didn't see you for so long. Gewalt, Yidden, Gewalt. Anyway, I'll tell you something very deep. We always think that, I don't see anything bad, Chas V'Shum, that the tree of knowledge brought death into the world. That's terrible, right? But on the other hand, just think. I meet this girl, Mamish, I like her very much. I live forever, right? I says, you know something? Give me your telephone, I'll call you in 100,000 years. You live forever, right? So what's the hurry, right? I'll call you in 100,000 years. A baby's born and it says to his parents, you know, I would like to bum around for 2 million years and then maybe I'll get my act together. We are living forever, right? The most special thing is that, you see, the moment would have no meaning if you live forever. The moment would be meaningless because it's gone, we don't have time. The only thing is, you see, God gave us eternity on a much deeper level. Maybe before there was death in the world, eternity meant I lived for 100 billion years. Now is something else. There is eternity. But the eternal moment right now is forever. You know, when I talk to somebody, I don't care. I look at my watch, it was exactly 7 minutes. We talked to each other for 7 minutes. Mazel tov, okay, Baruch Hashem, it's over. When I love somebody very much, for 7 minutes, forever. What happened, brother? Yeah, what's the problem? What? Oh, she's the best man. Good, thank you. However, there's one good share. Steve, I didn't say hello to you yet. How you doing, brother? Talking about forever. Imagine it'd always be summer. It'd always be winter. It would always be day. It would always be night. Would it be beautiful? I would say unbelievable. Everything is forever. You know what's so special about this world? That every few minutes things are changing. You know, imagine I would always be in the same mood. I'm always happy. You know, when I see people always happy, I get suspicious. Why are you always happy? Because if you're happy from the depth of your heart, maybe one day I am, one day I'm not. You know, someone came to the Kotzke. If I were to ask you without Kotzke, right? If I were to ask you, are you always so happy being Jewish? If you answer me, every second of my life, you're lying. I will ask you, are you happy? Are you believing in God every second of your life? Imagine you say, every second, how does it sound to you? Or he's an idiot or he's lying. Most probably both. Someone came to the Kotzke Rebbe and he says, Rebbe, there are moments when I don't believe in God. Kotzke Rebbe, you know, I was wise. He says, me. Meaning, so what? He says, there are moments, he says, when I don't believe in the Torah. Rebbe says, me. So what? You know? so what? You know what the most beautiful thing in the world is? That the Rabbi Shem put something into time, it's up to us. We can make 5 minutes being just 5 minutes, and we have the power to make 5 minutes forever. You see, I don't have the power to live for 2 million years. Hopefully we will. But what we have the power to make 5 minutes forever. I want you to know this is a Torah from Rabbi Nachman, it's a Torah from all the Rebbes. You know, in Hebrew there are 2 expressions for long life. One expression is Arichut Yamim, long days. Lama'an Yarichun Yamecha, long days. And then Arichut Shanim, long years. So you know this was Emes became a Rebbe when he was 18. And we should all live long. He passed away when he was about 52 or 53. But Gewalt, you know, what he did in those few years. What others don't do in 100 lifetimes. You know, Ger had an average of 300,000 chassidim. 300,000 chassidim. And before the Second World War was an average of 500,000. And it was not 500,000 who paid membership, you know. 500,000 chassidim means the Rebbe had everyone on his heart, like Aaron HaKohen. I want you to know, the second biggest dynasty in Europe was Alexander. The Alexander before the Second World War had approximately 400,000 chassidim. You know? Ger is a little bit sharp, and Alexander is more hidden and more soft, you know. So, you know, in Poland there were Yidden who had 10 children, 15, maybe 20, right? So, can you imagine in Alexander or Shoni Yom Kippur, thousands of people, right? And before Rosh Hashanah, everybody gives a kvittel to the Rebbe. And there was one Yid who had 18 children. Imagine you have one friend who has 18 children. Do you remember all the 18 names of your friend's children? I don't want to say anything bad. Some people have trouble remembering the names of their own children. Let's not go into this. This was told by a personal survivor. He says, Erev Rosh Hashanah, I gave the Rebbe a kvittel, and one of my daughters, let's say Sora Baschan, right? So the Rebbe looked, he says, her name isn't Sora, her name is Sora Hinde. I'll take it. You know, the last Alexander Rebbe, you know, I don't know, just thought about it. You know, that's the last sefer my brother came out, was the story of the last Alexander Rebbe. It was unbelievable. You know, he could have left 1,000 times, but he says, my whole life, I want to be where Yidden need me, where people need me. And now they really need me, you know. I want to be there. So anyway, when his father passed away, when he became the Rebbe, he says, I can't be the Rebbe because I'm very nearsighted. You know, people give me those notes with their names and their mother's name and their children's names. And I'm nearsighted, hard for me to read so many papers. Because that we don't care, you know, we want you to be the Rebbe. Then his son, who would have been the biggest Rebbe in the world today, you know, I heard unbelievable stories about his son. After everyone left, he said to his father, is it really true that you are nearsighted? You know? He says, please don't tell anybody, he says. I can see from one corner of the world to the other. Something else. I don't know why, but if you don't mind, I want to tell you a story about Alexander. I want you to know, basically, everyone needs two friends. You need a friend who can help you, and you need a friend to cry with you. Friend to cry with you. Most of us, maybe we have friends who can help us. But how many friends do we have who cry with us? Very, very few. Maybe not, I don't know. So here's the story. Basically it's two stories. Ramendel Levuka, everybody knows. Again, if you start talking about Ramendel Levuka, it'll take 10 years. A Yid comes to him, a poor man, driving all night from his home village to come to Levuka. And obviously he's a poor man, so his horse was not overly fed. Goes slow, schleppt sich, the horse. Comes to the Rebbe. He says, Rebbe, I need your blessing. My child is very sick and all our children should be well. The Heilige Levuka says, I'm sorry. The gates of heaven are closed. Nothing I can do. Can you imagine how broken this Yid is, right? It's my last hope. My last hope. Truly, he goes back on his wagon. He's going back. After about 3 hours driving, he hears, the Heilige Levuka, everybody knows, had the best Egyptian horses. It's a whole long thing, because the Heilige Levuka, I have to throw it in, in Rishon, the Heilige Rishon every afternoon would go, had also give out horses, he would go for a ride into the forest. And the greatest honor was if the Rishon invites you to go with him. And rabbis came all the time, so he invited him. One time there were two rabbis there. One rabbi, I don't want to mention his name, he was invited, and Rabbi Yitzchak Levuka was invited. So the first rabbi gets on the wagon, and his son also wants to get on the wagon, who's 7 years old. The rabbi says, I'm sorry, I only invited your father, I didn't invite you. Then Rabbi Yitzchak Levuka gets on the wagon, and the Ramendel jumps on the wagon also. And the Heilige Rishon says, I didn't invite you. He says, Rebbe, I know all about horses. You know what he meant? I know my Carlebach. In Yecheskel, when he saw God's wagon, the 4 horses, it's the deepest secrets, Kabbalistic secrets, right? So he says, I know all about horses. So the original says to the Levuka, how did you get such a big neshama down to this world? So he says, it's a gift from heaven. So Ramendel Levuka, he was like, so suddenly he hears behind him the Heilige Levuka's horses, 8 horses. And the Levuka drives up next to him and he says, get out of the wagon. They're sitting on the side of the road. The Ramendel says, I realized after you left that I can't help you. But the one thing I can do, I can cry with you. So the Heilige Rebbe sat down, Heilige Ramendel, began crying like crazy. And the Yid realized, I'm the father of this baby and I'm crying. It doesn't compare to the way the Levuka is crying. Like every ounce of his neshama was crying. Then suddenly he says to the Yid, to his Gabba, bring some wine and some cake. The gates of heaven just opened. Okay, this is a classic story. This is the kind of a story a person has to take all the time. Remember I told you once, my Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach says there is teaching, you can put it in the bank of your head. We have a bank up there, right? Putting in good stuff. But then there are things you have to have cash. Certain things you have cash trailers. Okay, this is a cash story, right? You have to have it in your pocket all the time. So a few years ago, I walked on Ben Yehuda in Tel Aviv. And a Yid is running after me. He says, I know you're telling stories, and I know if I tell you a story, you'll tell it all over the world. So I want to tell you a good story. He says, you remember the story of Rabbi Shlomo? He says, if I can't open the gates of heaven, at least I can cry with you. It's a classic story. This is, let me tell you, a story of the last Alexander. And you know, the grandfather of the Alexander, Rabbi Yechiel, was the greatest pupil of Rabbi Shlomo. So, Alexander is a little bit a continuation of Vog. So he says like this. In the Warsaw Ghetto, there was only one way to save one's life. If you have a passport from another country. If you're not a Polish citizen, you're a citizen of Brazil, of Argentina, then one way or the other, you go to the embassy. Let's hope they're not looking at the passport too strong, right? Give you a visa, or give you permission, then you leave. He says, my uncle was a cipher, my uncle was a scribe. And he was unbelievable in forging passports. He gave out thousands of passports and saved thousands of lives. But imagine he wants to give somebody a passport from Argentina, right? But he has to have a passport of Argentina in front of him. You know, to know how it's made and the numbers and everything. And the Nazis were looking for this person like crazy because they knew there was somebody who's giving out passports. Because so many, everybody in the Warsaw Ghetto is not even a citizen of Poland. It's crazy, right? Anyway, so they were looking for this person, they couldn't find him. One day, my uncle is walking on the street in the Warsaw Ghetto, and he has 120 false passports on him, which he wants to give out. And suddenly the Nazis coming around. And you know, everybody knows they were very polite, right? And they said, could we have the package? They open it, 120 passports. And you know what it is? Let's assume that my uncle could run away. If he runs away, they're killing his wife and his children. As simple as it is. So they tell him, could you please be tomorrow at headquarters at 1 o'clock? We want to talk to you. That means, and they want to say what they'll do with him, right? Gewalt. First they want to squeeze out information to whom he gave the passports, right? It's the end, right? What for end? So he runs to the Heilige Alexander, the last Alexander, in the Warsaw Ghetto. He says, Rebbe, they took away 120 passports. And it has to be tomorrow 1 o'clock as headquarters. What should I do? The Heilige Alexander says, do you know what that means? He says, that means there is no way out. He says, I know that means there's no way out. Then the Rebbe said, there is nothing I can do for you. And then the Rebbe began crying. May omek. He was crying so much that it says that my uncle thought the Rebbe is dying. He was sick. He can't bear it. He ran in to get the Rebbe's son, and the Rebbe's son came and says, Tatich, betach, begging you, please. The Rebbe didn't stop. Then suddenly he says, okay, I'll tell you what to do. Tomorrow 1 o'clock, you go to Nazi headquarters and just tell them you came to pick up a package which has your name on it. I mean, this is about Shem Tov story. He goes into Nazi headquarters and he says, I'm supposed to pick up a package here which has my name on it. They're handing him the package, and he walked out. And he actually survived. I have to tell you one more Gewalt story, because I want to give you over this heilige Ishbitzer Teure. Give over to each other. Do you know Rabbi David Lelever and the Yita Kodesh, the holy Jew, the biggest pupil of the Sea of Lublin? They were always together. So it was like Shabbos after Simchas Torah, and Rabbi David Lelever and the Yita Kodesh were together, because their children, like the son of Rabbi David Lelever, married the daughter of the Yita Kodesh. So the fast Pshiska from Lelev, it's right around Lublin, and a Yid came, and he brought like a little, like, how do you call this, where you carry something in, a tray, a little golden tray, and on the golden tray was like a golden plate, really beautiful, but it was big enough to put the Hanukkah lamp, Hanukkah menorah on this tray. So he came to the Rebbe and brought him this golden tray. And he says, Rebbe, I want you to bless me to have children. So the Yita Kodesh says, I'll tell you what, this golden tray is so beautiful, I'm going to use it for Hanukkah. So do me a favor, I want you to go to the mikveh. Basically you don't have to toivel the tray, but I want to use it for Hanukkah. I want you to toivel it for me, and then bring it back to me. In Pshischa, the mikveh was 300 steps down. It was very hard to find water. And the water was cold like crazy. But that's what it is. The Yid thinks, he promised me if I'll bring him the golden after the mikveh, he promised me children. What don't you do to have children, right? He goes down, the 300 steps, and it's dark. Maybe he has a little candle. The tray falls into the mikveh and he can't find it anymore. And he's desperate. And what am I going to do? So then he thinks, let's face it, until Chanukah, the Yita Kodesh from Sral will forget about the golden tray. I can't find it, it's in the mikveh, forget it. Soon I'll bring him something else, and that's it. Anyway, to make it very short, you think the Yita Kodesh has forgotten. Erev Chanukah morning, after the davening, and Rabbi David Lelever was there again. The Yita Kodesh says to Rabbi David Lelever, tonight I'll have a very special tray to put the Chanukah lamp on it. The Yid hears this, he didn't forget. And it fell out of my hands in the mikveh. What are we going to do? He said, I have to go back to the mikveh. And it's bitter cold, you can die from cold. He goes, to the mikveh, and he's at the end. It's so cold, mamish. He thinks he touched every billionth inch of the mikveh and he didn't find the tray. He's mamish dying. And then he says, Rabbi Shlomo, I'm begging you, please, mamish, the deepest prayer, please let me find the tray. At that moment, suddenly the tray was there. Brings it back. Obviously, one thing was clear, that the Yiter Kodesh knew what was happening, right? And so did David Levin. So at night, the Yiter Kodesh is killing the light of Hanukkah on the golden tray, and the Yid standing there. Rabbi David Lelever says to the Yiter Kodesh, I can't understand you. How can you be so cruel to this Yid? You know what he went through? Till he found the tray. So the Yiter Kodesh says to him, do you know what kind of prayer you need to bring children into the world? Okay, I just want to throw this at you. You know, there are things inside of me which are so deep. Do you know something? I can learn Torah day and night. I can do everything good. But to change this deepest insight from bad to good, I can't. Because it is so deep, it just doesn't reach, right? You know, in order to reach the deepest depths, give out what you need, right? Give out what you need. Want you to know something? For 2,000 years we were praying for the Holy Land, we didn't get it. You know when we got it? When we walked into the gas chambers. It was like this golden tray at the bottom of the mikveh, right? Gewalt, were we praying from the deepest, absolutely mamish. See, every Yid says, Rabbi Shlomo of the world. It'll happen tomorrow again unless you give us back the Holy Land. Deepest. So here, before I begin to learn, I just want to throw at you. What is the difference between Shavuos and all year long? All year long I'm learning. Every day I'm receiving the Torah. So what's so special about Shavuos? Shavuos is when I receive the Torah like the Yid that I received the golden tray in the mikveh. Or like the Yid who received the Holy Land in the gas chambers. From the deepest depth. Deepest depth. Let me tell you something even before we begin to learn. What you think is deeper, the soul or the body? And this is one of the biggest, I don't know, because I don't know, but I think, this is one of the big chidushim in Ishbitza only. Because basically by the whole world, the soul is the deepest, and the body is just a garment. And Ishbitz is not true. Sure, in a certain way my body is a garment to my soul. But there is something so deep about this world. This world is deeper than heaven. Yeah, heaven is maholi. Well, what makes you think that the deepest thing in the world is holiness? I've seen a lot of holy people and they're shallow. Face it. They're holy, cute, sweet, they're going straight to paradise, but I still would not like to sit next to them in paradise because they're so shallow. Won't you know something? And again, I don't want to say anything bad, but You know something? It is possible, and again, I'm not talking about the real big ones like Chas v'Shalom, you know, the Alexandra Rebbe or on any of those giants. I cannot say they were holy, but they were not deep, you know. They understood. I mean, they were on a prophetic level, but I'm talking about simple people. This world is so deep. This world is the deepest. And here I just want to share with you very fast. Anything you can say loud is not so deep. The more deep it is, the softer you talk. I don't want to say anything too bad and don't start hurting anybody. I judge a couple when they talk to each other if they talk loud or if they talk soft. When I see a husband and wife talking loud to each other, it doesn't turn me on. When I see parents talking loud to their children, I'm not knocking it, doesn't turn me on. Because if your love for this person is so deep, you have to talk soft. You have to talk soft. So again, this is touching the deepest depths of life. Because I would say that the Torah is the deepest thing in the world. Yeah, it is. But which Torah are you talking about? Okay, it's all one, but still in a certain level. Are you talking about the Ten Commandments, or are you talking about life? This world, heaven and earth, the way people live in this world. So let it be clear to you, friends. The Gemara says, "Ba'asor mamos nivro olam." God created the world with 10 sayings, and mamos, this is sochachov, shizcha, mama is always soft. Vayarma spoke. And again, I want you to know something awesome. You know, Toma, if someone remembers the story of Toma and Yehuda, how were they talking to each other? It says, "Vayidaber Yehuda el Toma," but "Vatidaber Toma." They talked to each other loud. Whispered to each other. You know something? Imagine I'm sitting on the subway, and Mamish, suddenly I see next to me, this girl is so beautiful, Mamish, it's my soulmate. It's Mamish half of my heart, right? And sometimes someone sits next to me, hello. And I want to check on myself, it's for real. If I talk soft, very, very soft, the deepest connection between us. I say, "Hi, how are you?" Forget it, right? It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. So I want you to know there are 2 levels of the Torah. There's a Torah which is loud. Then there's a Torah which is soft. And mamish, keep your heart open. Basically, Gal Yeshiva Torah. I'm learning Shleim aus the Metalis. Have you been in a mamish in a real yeshiva? They're not sitting there saying, I say, I just learned about whisper. It doesn't go this way. Your mamish have to say it loud. Your mamish have to say it, right? When it comes to the secret of the Torah, Rose de Rose, the deeper are the secrets are. You know, sometimes they have those Kabbalah classes. I don't want to say anything bad, but you know what they always say, the cab drivers, cabbie, They were the real Kabbalists, right? But then, just, they're cabbies now. Kabbalists, right? What? When? I'm walking in, and I see them. They are talking loud. It's not secrets. It's information. I'm not knocking it. It's nice information. It's not secrets. And you see what it is. The deeper the Torah is, the more the 10 commandments and the 10 sayings are one, the softer it gets. The more softer it gets. If you are a real Yid, an Emser Yid, right, the deepest Yid, then this world and the Torah, no conflict, right? Because you know how deep life is. And I think some you think life is the deepest on Wall Street because I don't know if money goes up or down. I'm not talking about that. What's the deepest depths of life? The deepest depths of life is relationships between people. Between me and God, between me and people. And maybe, listen to this, maybe between me and God, I can sometimes talk loud. Between me and people, if you talk loud, it's nothing. Soft. And also, can you talk long? There's an unbelievable classic Torah in Lubavitch that the Alter Rebbe, when he said Chassidus, it was never more than a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes. 3 minutes was the longest. He said the Mittler Rebbe would say Chassidus 6-7 hours, sometimes 10 hours. So the young Chassidim said, the Alter Rebbe, can't knock him. He said, well, how does he compare to his son, right? His son talks for 10 hours and the father for 3 minutes. So who's bigger, right? So the old Chassidim said, you're wrong. If he can talk about it for 10 hours, it's not so deep yet. The Alter Rebbe can barely talk about it for 3 minutes. So deep. And now I want you to open your heart in the most awesome way. When God said the 10 sayings, He mamish said the 10 sayings. The truth is, when God said, and this again, when God gave us the Torah on Mount Sinai, even God couldn't say the whole 10 commandments. He said only one word, Anochi, I. We're learning it this morning about 2,000 times. God said one word, Anochi, right? And in that word, Anochi, included the 10 commandments, and it also included the whole Torah, right? We were learning this morning from the Heilige Commandment. He says, according to the real Kabbalists, God did not even say the whole word Anochi. God said the letter Aleph. This is really beautiful. When I utter the letter Aleph, you know what I'm really uttering? Aleph Lamed Pei. Aleph, right? Can I utter the letter Aleph? Can't. God can. And this is also a cash Torah. Good to remember. The commandment says when the high priest would utter God's name on Yom Kippur. So what's so special? Everybody knows God's name is Yud Kei Vav Kei. We say it 100 times a day. So I say on Yom Kippur the high priest would say Yud Kei Vav Kei. I say it Monday and Thursday, right? So he says, how do you utter the letter Yud? Vav Dalet, right? You say the letter hey, it's two hey. You utter the letter Vov as two Vovs. Can you utter Yud K Vov K? Can. The high priest on Yom Kippur uttered the letter Yud K Vov K. Okay. Now listen to this. What are we doing in the world? What are we doing? What we are doing, we are bringing down those awesome secrets. Those awesome secrets. We are bringing it down because the greatest God revelation are the 10 commandments, right? Says the Dibros, loud. Because we have to bring it down, the whole world should hear it. We have to make it known to the world. Just remember, this letter Aleph is a Noichi, and it's the 10 commandments, the whole Torah. And I have to make it loud to the world. Kol shofar chazak moed. You know what the deepest depth says? That in this world, it's or a whisper, or you talk loud. Can you whisper loud? No. But it is something very deep. Very, very deep. Imagine there's this girl I love the most, right? Then Mom, she needs me. And she yells on top of her lungs. Shlomo, right? What do I hear? Do you know what I hear? All the whispers behind. Yeah, it's loud. The more I love a person, the more I can hear that softness, that whisper. The most awesome whisper behind the loudness. I want you to know something very deep. Imagine, it's never happened. Imagine you see, one time it happened to me, Dari. She was 3 years old. She mamish, kids like to do that. She tore herself away from my hand, and she ran over the street. And the truck was coming down the street. Do you know what I did? Because I realized when you love someone, you have to whisper, right? So I said, Dari, can you please? Gewalt was a yelling, right? Gewalt was a yelling. But Gewalt, all the whispers were behind this yelling. So I want you to know, you know what happened on Mount Sinai? That's the deepest depths of the world. Mamish came out on the level of yelling loud, both. Because Mount Sinai was loud. It's loud. But yet it was so deep. And here I want to tell you something awesome, which only a big Rebbe could do. I mean, we look sometimes at people, Gewalt, are they bad? Gewalt, are they coarse? Where are they? At the end of the First World War, in Budapest, in Hungary, because of the Second World War, all the stories from the First World War were forgotten, because it was not that bad, right? But the First World War also bad. Okay, the Heilige Bluzhva, the last Bluzhva here, who was like the last giant Rebbe, passed away a few years ago. The last big giant Rebbe. So, in Budapest there's a street, I don't want to sound coarse, In those days, so they had a little prostitution, a little drugs, a little stealing. And people, when the war is mamish at the end, and nobody won the war. Nobody won the war. The whole world lost, right? People are so desperate. So the big traffic on that street was, let's say, between 10 and 2 in the morning. Then it got quiet. It's an awesome story. Then the Heilige Blushva, about 4 in the morning, would take like a fiacre. You know what a fiacre is? Like a little wagon and a horse, They didn't have cars in those days. And he would say to the horse driver, drive me to that street. And for 1 hour, he would walk up and down that street. You know what he would? He wanted to inhale all the brokenness of the people. The brokenness of the people. And this is only a Rebbe could do this, the Heilige Blushva. So he would walk, and then in front of a bar, it was already closed, but he could feel what happened before. And one of the Otuchsin would go with him, and he would say, from the Sea of Lublin, when something was very deep, they would, like after that, all the rabbis in Galitzkin would say, ha ha ha, ha ha. And he would, from time to time, would say, "Oi, what a neshama, what a neshama." Or sometimes he would stop and says, "Oh yeah, they're broken. Sie brauchen, sie brauchen, sie brauchen." He would cry. And say, "What a neshama. What a brokenness." You know what it is? Most of us, let's say hopefully, there's a lot of good in us. But then there's also a little bad, right? Because if I feel completely good and fixed, someone came to God's Rebbe, says, "Rebbe, Mama, I fixed myself completely." He says, "You better run home and say goodbye to your wife because you're leaving tonight." Right? What are you doing in this world, right? Someone asked me about
the Kotzker Rebbe said that?
Yeah. Someone asked the Chosek Sishit, if he's fixed. He says, "Bless me, it should take me a long time to fix myself. Because if it goes fast, I'm leaving." Right? Imagine someone comes up to me and tells you, "Mamash, you're bad, you're terrible." So what do you say? "Thank you so much. Maybe, Moschavi, you gave me another 10 years to live," right? Imagine you would come and make me compliments, saying, "I'm so good, I'd be broken, gewalt. Maybe I'm really, God forbid, close to being fixed. But when you tell me I'm so bad, thank God, Try to be worse, right?" That's hard. Okay, now I want you to open your hearts really. Here's Yaakov and Esav, right? Yaakov basically, do you think Yaakov was completely fixed when he was born? He was also not completely fixed. Because if he would have been completely fixed, what was he doing in this world? Close the door, please. Shh, hey there. Just close the door, please. If Yaakov Avinu would have been completely fixed, it wouldn't be in this world. Let me ask you something awesome, and only a Rebbe like the Holy Santa could say such words. What do you think of Avraham Avinu? Do you think Avraham Avinu was mamish completely fixed? Let me tell you, I mean, if I would say it would be blasphemy. The Holy Son said it. And also Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach says in the name of the Ishbitzer. Avraham Avinu, by birth, had the most stingy soul in the world. Think Avraham Avinu was born and wants like a little hippie, he wants to share everything with the world? No. Avraham Avinu was mamish, the most stingy neshama ever to come to this world. Can you imagine how much he worked on himself? How much he worked on himself. Until he reached the level of being so absolutely, you know what he did? He turned himself over 1,000,000 times. But you know something? 2,000,000 times. And here just really you have to open your heart. Oh, Sister Mimi is right. I mean, rejoice, O Israel. Do we have a little kiss Yakovitz from him? No, we have a chair here. Come fast. Because I'm in the middle of the deepest, I don't want to forget what I said. That's good. Okay, Chavah, just send me some energy. I don't want to forget what I said. Yeah, Avraham Avinu. You think Avraham Avinu by birth, it was so easy for him to believe in God? You know where stinginess coming from? Stinginess comes from thinking, I make the money myself, right? I worked hard, and I get it. Why should I give it to you? You work yourself too and get it. You know what Avraham Avinu, what's the biggest non-pagan act? To give. Because I believe I didn't get it because I worked for it. It's a gift. I don't mind giving it to you. It's a flowing gift. God gave it to me, giving it to you. One day it'll come back to me again. Right? What's the first thing on Pesach when we wipe out paganism from the world? Pesach is the most anti-pagan because Mitzrayim is the center of paganism. When we're coming out from paganism, what's the first thing we do? I say, Kol dich von Yosef v'Yechel. Come to my house and eat. You see what it is? I see a poor man, all of us, maybe not you and me. You know, it's so hard to invite a poor man to your house. Hard. Especially when they smell so bad that, and you have the excuse, listen, there are guests in my house, I cannot subject them to this kind of smell, right? How come Avraham Avinu took everybody in? Because it was clear to him, it's not my house. It's not my house. Do you know how much work that takes? How much work that takes? And I want you to know something awesome. What is the whole idea of a Kedes Yitzchak, of sacrificing his son? Obviously God didn't want Avraham Chas v'Sholom to kill his son. But what was going on there? You know, when I buy a sefer and it's my sefer, okay, I can understand. It was just the front that I paid the moiches for, and it's my sefer, and really God gave it to me. But there's something very deep. My children are my children. It's really my children. And even that is a little bit pagan. Yeah, they're your children. Because God gave them to you. And you know when Avraham Avinu Mamish, the Ishbitzer says, you know when God really gave Yitzchak to Avraham? When God says, Al tishlach yodcha lana. Mamish. When Avraham took him off from the altar, this is when Mamish It's clear to everyone. It is my son, but it's mamish a gift from God. So you see, Abraham had to work so hard. And here we're coming to the essence of Sfiras HaOmer. What is the first theme coming out of Egypt? Everybody has their own Egypt. We have millions of Egypts. We had to be slaves for 210 years, like this Yidden that was looking for the plate in the mikveh at the end. I want to get out of here. The deepest, deepest, deepest prayer in the world. But then comes Seder night, right? And Seder night, the light is shining, which is beyond me. It's beyond me. Then God takes this light away again. In Gewalt am I crying for this light. Every night when I count the Omer, I realize, Master of the world, can you please fix me already? Can you please fix my chesed shebechesed? You know, a lot of people have a lot of love. But the question is, do you love to love or do you feel bad about it? You know, some people think you don't have to show how much you love them. You know, sometimes I ask parents, how many millions of times a day do you kiss your children? I hope it's at least 10 million times. Then they say, you have to walk and showing them every second you love them. Your chesed shebechesed is off. Right? Your chesed shebechesed is off. You yell at your children? Yeah, you have to. You have to educate them. Can you maybe tell me how you yell? Huh? You know what you're off? Your gevurah shebechesed is off. You put a little strength because you love your children, but you don't know how to do it, right? And so on, right? So in the second, I'll translate every word. To change your roots, to get to the depths of your own roots, you have to go so deep. So deep. Now listen to this awesome Torah. When Yitzchak, I want you to know something awesome. Who was ever praying mamish for all of Israel, mamish from the deepest depths? When Yitzchak was lying on the altar, right? When Yitzchak was lying on the altar in Avram, and he says, mamish, I have to sacrifice my son. But deep, deep, deep inside, he was praying, Master of the world, if I kill Yitzchak, forget about Israel, right? Can you imagine the depths of that prayer? It's beyond us. The deepest. You know what Yitzchak wanted to give over to Esau? He wanted to give over to him this deepest prayer, because even if your roots are bad, even if you're the most rotten person in the world, with this prayer you can change yourself in a second. Because this prayer is so deep. Hey Ruth, unbelievable. Thank you for coming. We need the best chair for Ruthie. Do we have one? You hear, friends? Keep the concentration. It says, "For Estre man kann nicht schauen." I'm learning the Torah. It's on page Yud Beis, and it's Torah Hey. And if you read Hebrew well, then follow me. And if you don't, it's also good. Because I don't say any word anyway.
All the copies have been handed. If those people have it, can share it. It's not that big.
It's at the bottom of the page for SOS someone comes to the shop.
Okay. And it's not one that we prepared ahead of time. It's the bottom of that page. Those who have it.
But don't worry about it, I'm saying it anyway.
You'll get it over. Yeah.
L'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim. Kevin, right now I need mamish absolute concentration, and even if you want to talk or to whisper, just don't do it for a few minutes. What do you call being high? What do you call being high? Tell you what, last week I was so high. What did you do? I can't even tell you, I was so high. And what? So what? I remember always in the good old days in the House of Love and Prayer, and I tried, in my most humble way, we try to teach kids you don't need chemicals to be high. I always would tell them, you know, if you're sick, you need chemicals to go to the bathroom. If you're healthy, you go without it, right? Same to God. If you're sick, you need chemicals. If you're healthy, you go wherever you want to, right? But anyway, so let's say I remember a lot of times after a Shabbos, we were so high, like really high, right? A lot of times, you know, Tim Leary would, I don't know if you know this, I don't know if Yossi knows it even, that Tim Leary would come a lot of times Friday night to the House of Love and Prayer. And he would always say, you know, I'm so much looking for something to get people high without chemicals. I don't know how to do it. He says, but you Jews, you have Shabbos. It's Gewalt, right? Anyway, so let's, after I give out Shabbos, and some kids would come to me and say, yeah, it's beautiful, but now we want you to taste the way we get high. It's okay, you know, you're right. You had patience for my Shabbos, I have patience for you. So one time, this boy was mamish on my neck the whole Shabbos. He said, won't you promise me you'll come to my house after Shabbos? Okay, then. Then he had his chavri, he lived in a commune. Everybody was high on whatever it was. Okay, you know, but us after Havdalah and Marga was really high, you know. And then everybody was lying on the floor, and their eyes were like this. And I said to him, hey, listen, brother, please don't feel, you call this high? Then, you know, whatever he gave me, I said, you know, after being so high on Shabbos, this doesn't make me higher. It doesn't, right? See, here comes the Ishbitz Torah. God says, I carried you on eagle's wings. I carried you so high. You know what God did to us? He didn't just schlep us out of Egypt, knock off the Egyptians, and just, now you're free. You know what the first thing God did? He took us to the highest place in the world. I want you to open your hearts. What is the highest in the world? The highest in the world is if my connection to my relationship to God does not depend on what I'm doing. My relationship to God is so deep. Whatever I am, gewaltig my close to God. Gewaltig my close. You know, imagine I'm very close to a person, but that person judges me all the time. We're not high. You can think you're high, but you're not. Real high is when you're completely out. You see, this world is the world of judging. Because there is a tree of knowledge, and there is good or bad. And even the tree of life also says has a tree of knowledge. The tree of life doesn't say there is no question. It's only what are you eating first. To be out of this world, people say, I'm out of this world. What do you mean out of this world? Where are you? That I'm in the world where it doesn't matter what you do. It does, but it doesn't. And you cannot be there all the time, because then I can do anything in the world and say it doesn't matter, right? Sure, it matters everything you're doing. Everything matters. But then there are moments, say the night, right? What's say the night all about? Or you know something, there is no night in the world. I mean, say the night, God took us out of Egypt. Do you know the lowest Yidele in the world wants to have a Seder? He doesn't know how to do it, right? One person told me that his uncle never can't read Hebrew, and he knows you have to tell something Seder night. He doesn't know what to do, so he's collecting all kinds of dirty jokes. So he's coming to the Seder, and he's telling them. And you got to be Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev to realize maybe he's turning over heaven and earth. I don't know, right? Because this Yidele thinks that's what Seder is, to entertain your relatives, right? What do I know, right? Maybe his Seder reached heaven more than, who knows, right? I don't know. I have no idea. So then he says, and here, I was thinking about it all day long, because this is so deep. But again, with whom can God have this relationship that doesn't matter what you do? This relationship of God can only be with a person whose roots are really good. You know what the pagan is? And you know what us, children of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, servants of God, what are we all about? That my roots are good. And even if I do something wrong, it doesn't come from my roots. It comes from my outside, not from my inside. Just from the outside. Inside. Inside is solid. And now keep your card open. But then I have 49 days. And said enough, I think and I realize it's true, God lifted me up so high. But you know something? Sad enough, there's still a lot of evil inside of me. Maybe the roots of my roots are really holy. But there's a lot of little evil, tiny little roots. Tiny little trees are growing inside of me. So what do you do? For 49 days, and just keep your hearts open. For 49 days, when I count the Omer, it is mamish absolutely the deepest prayer, Master of the world, fix my chesed shebechesed. And you know why right after I count the Omer, I'm saying, Master of the world, take me back to the Beis HaMikdash? I put on film, I don't say Master of the world, I just put on film, take me back to the Holy Temple. Might take a little while. Why after counting the Omer? Because I reach so deep, I reach mamish into the deepest depth of my soul where it needs fixing. And the moment I fix it, I'm ready to go back. You know why we are in exile? And I don't want to say anything bad, because right now, saying enough in Israel, we need a lot of blessings. But it's not, we cannot put everything on the other side, right? We need fixing, right? Inside fixing. And here what I want to share with you. Can you imagine how much praying I would need if I would have to fix the roots of my roots? Listen to this. After we stood on Mount Sinai, we still made the golden calf. You know what that means? We still hadn't fixed it yet. We still didn't fix it. So what was it fixing? Moshe Rabbeinu came back from Mount Sinai again, and this time he brought back the Ten Commandments and Torah Sheba'al Peh, the oral tradition. That means that I can add to the Torah. You know, Tosfos was 900 years ago. 900 years ago, let's say the Rabbi Natam is asking a question. And I, mamish, cockroach, not even in comparison to elephant. I can answer. I can answer it, right? Do you know how holy the Gemara is? And I can mamish learn and come up with a whole sefer on the Gemara. It's not to be believed, right? It is not to be believed. And again, who is the master of Torah Sheba'al Peh? It's Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva, who's the grandson of Esav. You know why? We were learning it this morning. Because Torah Sheba'al Peh, you don't sit there, you learn, and something comes to your head. This is nonsense. You have to pray so hard, so deep. You have to pray in the deepest, so deep, so deep. He says, in a nutshell, who will survive? Who will survive as a servant of God? And who will not? And who is mamish a Jew and who is not, right? You know, the ever ask, what's a Jew, what's not a Jew? Simple as it is. Someone who's ready to fix their roots, the roots of their roots. And here I want you to know something. This is the deepest Torah. Every morning I'm putting on film. It's very beautiful, but it may not reach into the roots of my roots. Maybe the Alexander, the way he was putting on film. But you know what real life is all about? Real life touches the roots of my roots. You know what the real relationship is between people? It's not to say hello to you, say hi, how you doing now? Talking about root canal, something which is touching mamish the deepest depths of my being. Mamish the deepest depths.
So can you explain that more? How is the relationship with the person touching the deepest depth?
Tell you. Thank you, Brad. You know, I have been at a lot of weddings, right? If you pay me $10,000, maybe I'll dance for 5 minutes. And even those 5 minutes I have to force myself. Some of you come to a wedding, can't stop dancing. You know why? When you come to a wedding, they really love each other so much, right? It touches the roots of your roots. You see, you got married. Like obviously they have something in common. They can't stand each other. About, right? But you want to dance now. You know, I'll tell you something. Sometimes you see a father and a mother walking with children. It looks cute. So you see a father and a mother walking with children, and it touches the roots. Mamish the roots. I'll tell you, I was going to Columbia University, and here's the rabbi teaching philosophy and there's 30 kids yawning, looking at him, and looking at the clock, when is it over? It doesn't touch my roots. You come to the big Rebbes, and Chassidim Amishim. I tell you, Gewalt, setting up in Lubavitch, the Rebbe doesn't come up with Shalishudis, and Bober, on Satna, Kreuzenburg, the Rebbe comes out to Shalishudis. This is the roots of the roots, right? And you see what it is? Unless it touches the roots of your roots, you're an outsider to life. And you're also an outsider to the Torah. You're an outsider. And here I'm just telling you this one thing. Anything which touches your roots, you have to whisper. So deep. It is so deep. Well, you know something? This world has tremendous gravity, right? There are two gravities in the world. The way the world is without being fixed pulls you down. The world, when it's fixed, brings you up, lifts you up. It's tremendous gravity, right? When you come to the holy wall, what a gravity, right? But not gravity down, gravity up, right? You see all the big Tzaddik and the Rebbes, what do they do to you? Gravity up. Pulls you up. I tell you, what the Yiddish Kodesh said? The lowest person in the world, if they would taste my Rebbe's and Shendela's soup Friday night, they would have to do tshuva. They would have to put their act together. So let me ask you something. I'm going to a Chinese restaurant and I eat soup. Does that make me do tshuva? You know why? Because that gravity of that soup is going down, right? Friday night, the feast, the gravity pulling you up. And you know what it is to change the gravity of your life? You have to pray so hard. You have to pray so hard. So I want you to know the night before Shavuos, I'm counting 49 days. I'm praying so hard every night. The last night is so deep I can't even pray. Can't even count. Because it's so deep. Because remember, God made a deal with the world. If He didn't accept the Torah, the world will stay forever. And if He will not accept the Torah, I'll destroy the world. That does not mean that the world suddenly will stop to exist. You will live in a destroyed world. You will live in a destroyed world. In a world which makes no sense. A world with Torah, it's so beautiful and you can't get it together. Have you ever seen between people, it's so beautiful and so sweet, I can't get it together. Because why not? Because they didn't stand on Mount Sinai. Because it didn't change the gravity. Didn't change the gravity. But you see, what I wanted to share with you tonight is, in order to make this world as holy as it is supposed to be, takes a deeper prayer than just to put on film. See, the Torah is deep, right? But if you want to manage to reach the level that this world, which is so much, it's so deep, that this world I should have my act together. And Shavuos night, we have to put our act together. Because I'm always on the crossroad. You want to live in the destroyed world, or you want to live in the together world? And here I just want to add one more thing, then we maybe make a little intermission for a few minutes. What time is now officially?
10 o'clock.
10 hours, good. I don't even make myself clear. Again, the same thing. I can go to a Chinese restaurant, eat like a dog. Would you say I tasted the beauty of this world? It was destroyed. Because after there's nothing left, right? After I finish the plate, it's finished. Let me tell you something. You know how often I ate challah? A few thousand times, right? I don't remember how it tasted. You know which challah I remember? The first Shabbos, 1947, when the Rebbe came to America, the first Friday night. The first Yid who came from the other side and who saw Mamish Ani HaGiver or Oni, who saw everything, and he gave me a piece of challah. Give us a bad taste. I want you to know the last Rosh Hashanah of the Frierdiker Rebbe. I had the privilege, my brother and I, to be by the first Suda, the first night of Rosh Hashanah, by the feast. And everybody knows the Rebbe did not speak the first day of Rosh Hashanah. Didn't utter one word. He would daven, say Tillim, but he wouldn't talk. Okay, when I got one mamish crumb from the Rebbe's challah, right? I think it tasted like challah from a French bakery. Imagine someone will tell me, you know, I'm a master of taste. I've been in every French bakery and I know how white bread should taste. I say, listen, brother, have you ever tasted challah first night Rosh Hashanah from the old Lubavitcher Rebbe? You know what challah tastes like. Gewalt, right? I have to share something awesome with you. It may not be 100%, in my heart it's 100%. I heard this from a survivor. There was a Chassidish Yid. You know, we always think every Yid in Krakow was a Chassidish Yid, and Nebuch they were living like a schlepper, and they were barely making it. They were millionaires. Some of them were poor, but the majority had their act together. Multi-millionaires, right? Big business people. So this one Chassidish Yid had a son. Genius should be genius. Everything you can wish for your son. He got engaged to a girl from another Chassidish family. I mean, she could be Miss World 10,000 times a minute. Absolutely beautiful and just give out, right? He got engaged 2 weeks before the Germans moved in. Then the Germans came. She was sent to one concentration camp. He was sent to another. Listen to this. The last few days in Auschwitz, the Germans got already shook up. They saw that the Russians are coming or the Germans are coming. So they were not watching so much. They were afraid for their life. You know, there was this man, the camp for the men, concentration camp, and then was for the women. And it was absolutely forbidden to stand on the gate and talk to someone in the other camp. But at this point, it was a few days before the end, they were not watching so much anymore. So this Chassidish young man, after being in concentration camps from 39 to 45, he's standing there by the gate, and suddenly he sees that his bride is by the women. not to be believed, right? One way or the other, it's too long to go into details, one way or the other, they were able to send each other little notes. Whereas some couples, people who had more freedom, and they were able to smuggle a little note. And they knew in a day or two the Russians are coming, one way will be free, hopefully. And not so far from Auschwitz was some kind of a palace of somebody, was half bombed out, maybe a little bit there. So they say, when the soldiers are coming, let's run away together. And let's meet up there in that palace. As some of you remember, I told you this story a lot of times, but maybe some of you didn't hear it. You know what's so special about being in Auschwitz? There's no mirror. You don't know how you look like. You know how you look like? You wouldn't recognize yourself. You think in your head you look like you were when you came, right? But you're not. After 6 years, not eating, not sleeping, working hard, beaten to death 50,000 times a day. Most of them had no teeth because they had no nourishment, no hair, and the lice were eating their skin. It's terrible. How did the women look like when they came out? Now listen to this. The Russian came, and he's running up to the palace. And the whole palace was destroyed. The dining room was still there. There was a big mirror. And there, they meet each other there. And for the first time after 6 years, they see themselves in the mirror. He looks at himself. She looks at herself. She has no hair. She has no teeth. She's covered with blood. Thin like a toothpick. Doesn't look like a human being. Now, you have to open your heart between here and eternity. She says to him, how can you love me so ugly? So he says to her, I swear to you, no woman ever looked more beautiful to her husband as you look to me just this minute. So imagine someone comes to me and says, I really saw a beautiful woman, Elizabeth Taylor, Kim Novak. Yeah, it's all cute. You know who knows how beautiful a woman looks like? The Hasidic young man in Auschwitz. And this is the real world. This is the real world. This is the 10 sayings, Zasor Mamos, and the the world and the Torah together. It is mamish physical, it is mamish spiritual. It is so deep. It is so deep. God, so deep. Let me ask you something. What looks more beautiful to you, Rockefeller Center or the Holy Wall? So I will tell you, Rockefeller Center looks beautiful. I wouldn't waste my eyes even on 1 second looking at it. The Holy Wall. Can anybody take your eyes off? It's crazy, right? You come to the holy wall and you can't take your eyes off. What's there to see? It's a broken wall. So you see what it is. There are certain things which reach into the deepest, deepest, deepest chambers of our soul, which fixes the roots of our roots. The roots of the roots of the roots. Okay, L'chaim, let's make a step for 5 minutes. But don't ever stop.
I was just for a title for the thing here. Till our tears put out the fire or something like that. On prayer, dreams, imagination, and something like
Okay. Okay, folks, we need moments of silence. Just in a few minutes. I want to tell you something awesome. I'm sure I'm wrong, but maybe I'm right. It's a little bit Ishbitzer and a little bit like this. You know, when God wanted to give us a Torah on Mount Sinai, you remember? Like, I wouldn't say God put an ad in the New York Times, but there was an ad on the sky, right? The whole world is invited to come to Mount Sinai. And just remember, the only ones who showed up was us heathen, right? So the Heilige Baal Shem Tov says, doesn't make sense. Meaning the whole world, nobody wanted to come? Doesn't make sense, you know? So he says, the only nation who came as a nation is us Jewish people. But people from all over the world, right? All the neshamas. You know, when you meet a good person who's mamish not into killing and stealing, and it's not because he read and read his digest he shouldn't kill. Heard God's voice, you know. So you have to realize we are living in a world full of anger. And you know, killing does not mean you take out a knife and you kill. You don't do that. But, you know, you can yell at somebody so much that you can almost kill them, right? Or you can ignore somebody. Right? You know what the Gemara says when God says don't kill? Every person heard it on the level of their own, right? A very coarse person just heard, don't take a knife. Better person heard, don't yell, right? And so on. But this is what I want to share with you. So why didn't the word come? And one day, when Mashiach is coming, suddenly Jerusalem will turn on the whole world, right? Because we say the whole world is coming to Yerushalayim, when Messiah is coming. What did not turn them on Mount Sinai? And what will turn them on from Yerushalayim? So he says like this. I'm a great scholar, right? And I have a Gemara in front of me, the Talmud I'm learning. And next to me, let's say it's a little like Eskimo, right? Never seen a Jew in his life. Never heard the word Gemara. He's sitting next to me. Imagine I'm sitting on a plane, right? Next to me, it was really one time, a little Eskimo was sitting next to me. It was the cutest in the world, right? Just, okay, so I'm sitting there, and the Eskimo thinks, you know, I don't know what he's doing. But you know something? Facts of life. It began shockling a little bit, and I began to say Tfilas Haderech, the prayer of the way, you know. So the cute little Eskimo saw me. I was praying. So he says, let's pray together. Hey. That he got, right? So the Ishbitzer says, learning, you may not turn on the whole world. Praying, if you really pray, the whole world's praying with you. If you really pray, right? I want to tell you something. How much would we have to pray that everyone in the world should reach their own roots and wipe out all the evil? You see what it is? And we haven't turned on the world yet. We haven't turned on the world yet. You know what it is? Because we haven't fixed our own roots yet. Now just give me your sweetest attention for 1 minute. This is an unbelievable story. I'm sure most of you remember it. The Heilige Rebbe Rabbi, the Baal Shem Tov's grandson, says to somebody, you ever come to Kosovo? To the Heilige Reb Chaim Kosovo? So he says, yeah, I have some business in Kosovo, I'm going there all the time. He says, do me a favor, when you come back, you know, Kosovo is the grandfather of the Vishnitzer. He says, do me a favor, when you go to Kosovo, bring me back a melody. Okay, he comes to Kosovo, and he wants so much to pick up a melody, but the Kosovo is not there. Every Shabbos he's there in the neighborhood, the Kosovo isn't there. One night, on an ordinary Wednesday night, the Kosovo was there, and the Heilige Kosovo is counting the Omer, and after the Heilige Kosovo counts the Omer, he's like humming a melody. It's not even much of a melody, just a little. So this Kosovo obviously has good ears, picked it up and thinks it's nothing. Comes back to Rabbi Boch. He says, I'm so sorry to disappoint you, I was there, but the Heilige Kosovo was never there on Shabbos, and only I heard him counting the Omer, and after the Omer he was humming a little melody. Oh, he says, that's why I sent you, because I wanted to hear this melody from counting the Omer. So he hums the melody, not much of a melody. So that night, the Heilige Rebbe was counting the Omer. After the Omer, the Heilige Rebbe humming this melody. So then Rebbe, the Heilige Rebbe says, let me tell you the story of this melody. In the time of my holy grandfather, the Holy Baal Shem, there were two neighbors. One was Jewish and one was not Jewish. So the Jew bought from the non-Jewish neighbor a field which he was right next to his, he bought it from him. After a few days he comes to him and he says, I tell you, I began digging and I found a treasure in the field. And you only sold me the field, but you didn't sell me the treasure. So I'm bringing you back the treasure. He couldn't believe. He said, I can't believe a person should be so honest. He said, I can't believe it. So that night, this little non-Jewish neighbor invited the whole village to the Kretschmer. He says, all the drinking is on me. You know, got rich. Then he stood on the table, and he was drunk, really, and he was singing this little melody. And he was saying, great is the God of Israel. Great is the God of Israel. So here what I want to share with you. What does it have to do with counting the Omer? What does this melody have to do with counting the Omer? For this is what we were learning. Pesach, God takes us up so high. And God shows us that our relationship to God does not depend on what we are doing. He loves us the most, right? Take parents and children. I love my children because they are good, or I love my children because they have good marks. Stupid, right? I love them the most. But I would like them to be good. Not because I love them less if they're not so good. Because I want them to get their act together, right? So while I'm up so high Saturday night, then I come back to this world and I realize, you know why I'm making so many mistakes? Because I've got to fix my roots. You see, the roots of my roots, my relationship to God, the roots of my roots is close to God. But I need a lot of fixing yet. So I'm beginning to fix. And I want you to remind me to come back where I'm saying it. Do you know that counting the Omer is the only one mitzvah? If I make a mistake, I can't fix it anymore. It's crazy. If I miss one day, I'm out. Because if I make a mistake, that means I didn't fix anything so far. Because the whole thing of Sfiras Omer is fixing my roots or stop making mistakes, right? You made a mistake, you can. You know? Gewalt, right? So what is it when I fix my roots? Then I'm fixing the world, right? So therefore, each time I count the Omer, say, Master of the world, I'm fixing my roots. That means I'm ready to fix the whole world. And just remember, how do I fix my roots? The prayer has to be so deep. So deep, right? Awesome. So awesome deep. Then the world is ready to go with me. Then the world is ready. So after I count the Omer, I say, Master of the world, take me back to the Beis HaMikdash. Remember we were learning it. The Omer is the greatest. You know what Chassidus says? Anything which is not a contradiction is not for real. Anything which is not everything is not for real, right? Remember we're learning it, when you love somebody very much, it makes your heart whole and it breaks your heart. It's both. On one hand, God is there, God is not there. On one hand, the world is so good because God created it, there's so much evil in the world. On one hand, I have to look at myself. I have to look at myself, Gewalt, I'm the holiest. I'm not, right? I'm not in the end. Everything. So you know what Sfiras Omer is? On one hand, is begging God, can you please give me the light of Pesach back? Saturday night, the Mamash could feel that my roots are so holy and I'm so close to you. And all this closeness got lost. Give it back to me. On the other hand, God says, if you lost it, if you lost one night, you lost it. I mean, the whole thing is to give me back what I lost, right? All those contradictions. But the thing is, you see, while we count the Omer, the most important thing is at that moment God gives me really back this mamash flying on eagle's wings. And one more very deep thing. You know what it is? Why isn't the world getting together? Because the whole world is judging each other by what you did. Imagine if you could absolutely wipe out this feeling that I'm judging by what you did. I don't care what you did. Absolutely don't care. It's awesome, right? If I can be on that level, so. And you see, at the end, the last day before Shavuos, God gives it back to us. Because suddenly we loved each other so much. V'yichen sham Yisrael neged aha. Ki ish echad b'leiv echad. Kval. Okay, I hate to be drastic, but we have to stand up and count the Omer, yeah? And this is not to make you feel bad, but if by any chance some of you really forgot to count the Omer or never did, you can still see what you have to do. This is the deepest step. If you really forgot to count the Omer, then you're out, right? How do you get back? There's somebody who did count the Omer. Then you stand next to that person, then he says a blessing, and you say Amen. They are counting together. You know what that means? It is unbelievable what one person can do for the other. It is unbelievable what I can do when I fix my roots a little bit. And you see, if you would tell me, can you please fix my roots? I'll say, okay, what did you do, right? Make a long list of all your mistakes, of all your evil. Then I tell you, oh, you have to fast from Shabbos to Shabbos. And I don't know what. A person stands next to me in shul, I don't know his name, don't know who he is, what he is, when he is, who she is. I say, listen, you know, I forgot to count the Omer. Can I count with you? I don't have to know anything. You see, on one hand, the Omer is that this great light of Pesach, which is beyond me, should shine into my head. And yet, on the other hand, it's beyond everything. Beyond. What do we know? But I want to tell you just the Kurve the Babish Rebbe really needs to refer Shleim, and I should really be well. There's a Torah from the Alter Rebbe. Before you receive the Torah, you have to count the Omer. What's so special about counting the Omer? That you know exactly what you did yesterday, and you know what you have to do today. Wow, right? And you know where you're at. Let's go. Today is 8 days and 20 days, which is 4 weeks to the counting of the Omer. Take us back, take us back, take us back, take us back. Yerushalayim. The Holy Temple, the
la 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 la
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Micha. You know what it is? Rav Nachman says when you learn together, it's not that instead of learning alone, you learn with other people. When people learn together, something is coming down from heaven, which wasn't there before. It's always like this. So, I don't know how much we really got to the bottom of this Ishbitz Torah, but maybe we did. I wouldn't say we got to the roots of the Torah, but we touched the roots of the Torah a little bit.
Shlomo, it's the roots that you're adding now, that you're touching. These are your roots that you're adding. Each one in his place, right?
Uzi Yekavalt. I want you to know, I don't know if some of you know that my great-great-great-grandfather was a chassid of the Meshulah. Of the Ishbitz, first Ishbitz, you know? Ishbitz is a dynasty. Ishbitz is a city not far from Lublin. And 1840, he had no food in the house. It was so poor. So he heard that they're looking for a rabbi in Germany, in Lübeck. So he went to Germany. That's how my whole family came to Germany. Unbelievable.
You mean they're a student?
Yeah. Never know it. You know what happened? The mayor at that time, and the anti-Semitism was awesome. It was maybe a little better than Poland or Russia, but so the mayor wanted to make a new tax on the Jews. So my holy great-great-great-great-grandfather went to the mayor of the city. He said, "I'm telling you, we don't have it." So he said, "What do you mean you don't have it? How come you have money to invite guests Friday night?" So he says, "Okay, you don't have to pay the taxes, but from now on, any Jew who invites a guest Friday night will be arrested." And never my holy great-grandfather, Sukkot night, he had 14 guests. So suddenly the police came, and they arrested him and the 14 guests. And they put them, my Zayda, in prison for every day a guest, 14 days. And all the 14 guests, here's the bonus, also in prison. So there was a letter, I know, said that my father passed away. My father had unbelievable letters from our forefathers. It was all stolen, I don't know who did it. But whatever it is. And the letter my great-great-grandfather writes, they want you to know I was in prison for 14 days, which is also simple Torah. And obviously we didn't have a Torah in prison. In fact, we had no books in prison. But let me tell you, it was the highest simple Torah of my life. He says, can you imagine those 14 Yidden? The way they were dancing in the prison cell must have been the most lowest primitive conditions, right? Not to be believed. Right? I'm always thinking on Simchus Torah, where should let me have a taste of the Simchus Torah of my holy great-grandfather, the way he danced in prison with those 14 years, you know.
Take it outside of prison.
Oh, Mamish, Amen. All of us, yeah.
The Simchas Torah of your great-grandfather in prison is his. Your Simchas Torah is what you're making. You make it all the time.
Yeah, I know, but it could add a little sugar, you know, a little pepper. You're right, Uzi. See what it is? If I say I want to be exactly like my grandfather, I'm cutting myself short. Because God had my grandfather. But my grandfather didn't bring the Messiah, right? That means my grandfather was very holy, but something was missing, right? And you know what is a little bit wrong with the whole, so to speak, establishment today, from establishment? They want to take our young people and make them exactly like my Baba Mazet. And this is not what God needs. He had them. God doesn't need, remember Rabbi Nachman says, God does not need the same thing twice. God is not against it. He cannot stand standing quiet. You know, Rabbi Nachman says, if you daven today like yesterday, God says, thank you very much, but please don't go on my nerves, you know. You did it yesterday. And you know, remember that what Shenpa says, what's called a real Shabbos. A real Shabbos is that this Shabbos was never before. Never before. I dare you, how do you know how much you love a person? It's very simple. When you meet them, and the second time you meet them is like the first time, very beautiful. You don't really love them. Because when you really love them, something else. The business meetings always the same. Have you ever been by the Holy Wall twice? Okay. Rockefeller said there was a tent. Holy Wall. So it comes to Shavuos, it says, we grab the Mincha Chadusha. Comes to Shavuos, mamish, when we fix our roots. Is there anything older than roots? If I ask you, what's the oldest thing on a tree? The roots, right? And on Shavuos, when we fix our roots, then we realize, Gewalt, our roots are new. Gewalt. Not only my roots of yesterday, my roots today. Everything is new. Everything is new. So I hope I'll see you tomorrow a little bit, but regardless, bless you with a good Shavuos. And please don't, as much as I want to receive the Torah like my forefathers, I want to receive my Torah. The same Canaan. God give me my portion of the Torah. God give me my portion. And what do we know? What do we know? I shared with you already a few times, but maybe there's one person who wasn't here. You know the Netziv, the Rosh Shiva of Volozhin, told us you the first time we were learning. His father wanted him to be a tailor. Because when he was in the Cheder, he was so wise, he didn't learn. So finally he said, make a tailor out of him. So that night his father told him, okay, tomorrow I'm giving you over to a tailor to teach you how to be a good tailor, right? That night he went off, came to a big yeshiva, and he became great is not the word, right? The greatest in the world. The greatest in the world. Then when he wrote so many sform, he wrote one book after the other. So when his first book came out, made a big feast. So people asked him, why are you making this big feast? This is what he said. I want you to know, last night I had a dream. That I became a tailor. I was a good tailor, very honest, fixed all the pants, never stole, never ruined, a good tailor. I'm coming up to heaven, and I'm sure I'm going to paradise because I didn't do anything wrong. Suddenly the door opens, and angels come in, and bringing in one book after the other, one sefer after the other. And they say, you know something? You could have written all those books. You could have written all those books. And I was in so much pain. I was in so much pain. What I could have done with my life, that I woke up. It hurt so much. Then I realized I really didn't become a tailor. And I really did write the book. This one book. So I'm making a big feast. So I want to bless all of us, all the books God wants us to write. And we should write them. And I just want to add, I don't want to write my book in ordinary paper. I want to write the book on a paper which is wet with my tears. And as much as I like my tears, but the paper I want to be soaking wet with the tears of my forefathers. Because who knows how much they cried that I should be alive, we should be alive here. And God should give us a little bit of Torah, we should have something to say. And I don't know which Baba it was, and which Friday night she was praying so hard when she kindles light that we are here. What do we know, right? You know, I have to tell you something. Forgive me if I make it long. You know, I have this song, the whole world's waiting to sing the song of Shabbos. When my father left this world, we should all live long, I was walking behind the coffin, and I was thinking, you know, some people are rich, and they leave you money in Switzerland, in Paris. My father didn't leave me one penny. Do you know what my father left for me? I'm a Shabbos. Because in my father's house, Shabbos, I remember my brother and I, when we woke up, when we were 3-4 years old, the first thing we always asked, when is Shabbos? No, we couldn't wait for Shabbos. And, you know, sometimes we didn't trust even our mother. We thought, she must be lying. According to us, it's today's Shabbos, you know? You know, my children are when they're 3 years old. Anyway. So I thought to myself, Gewalt, my father left Shabbos for me. So this melody was going around in my head. And so then, the whole year when my father wasn't over left to my father, I had the privilege of really singing the song of Shabbos. Some of you may remember 1967. I know Bella remembers, and Dovitul, some of the Chavre, and maybe Reuven. I will see. Sing mamish for hours. I remember one time I gave a concert at the University of California in Los Angeles on a Saturday night, and it was still hippie days when the world didn't look at the watch all the time. I don't know, you know, I was begging people, give me the tape, because I made up new words. We were singing it, I don't know how long. But anyway, in that song, before I sing it, I would say it like this. That, you know, there's 747 in space. There's a missile in space, right? I said, I was praying in my dreams that God should put me on a missile in time. Make it fast. A little bit. I said, I want to give me a missile in time. But I don't want to go forward. I need a missile to go backward. I want this missile to take me back to a little city in Poland. And I want it to be Friday night. And I want to stay outside the window. And I want to see my Baba Kingdom light. And I want to see my Zayda, my Baba, blessing one of the children, all the children, one of the children. And one of the angels is telling me, you see this little boy there? It's your great-grandfather. And then I will sing the song of Shabbos, you know. Never know. First of all, you never know when the gates of heaven are open. Never know. And you don't know whose blessing reaching, at what moment. You know, for me, I'm sure for you too, sometimes you say to a person, can you bless me? And they say, no, I should bless you. You need my blessing. What do you? Someone says, be blessed. What's the first thing God said to Abraham? All the blessings are in your hand. And I just want to say this to you and all of us. We should always be privileged to bless ourselves, and we should bless our children all the time. Yesterday was a holy Rav Schutz's Yortzeit. And this is Rav Schutz's story. Heilige Rav Schutz goes to the son-in-law of the Heilige Viditscheuber, the Heilige Raslaru. He was not even married yet to his daughter, to the Viditscheuber's daughter, but you know, in Viditscheuber, children get engaged when they're 4 years old. And then Baba Mitzvah, so he was 5. The Hauptstädter goes up to him and says, I know that one day you'll be a big Rebbe and you'll bless thousands of people. I want you to give me your first blessing. So he says, I'm 5 years old and you're a big Rebbe, right? First of all, you don't need my blessing. And second, he didn't want to. So the Hauptstädter says to him, listen to me, little brother. Let me tell you something. When I was 5, the Heilige Rabbi Yitzchak came to visit my father, the Heilige Rabbi Mendel Minsker. And Rabbi Yitzchak, fire, came up to me and he says, hey, Naftali, one day you'll be a big Rebbe. You'll bless thousands of people. I want you to give me your first blessing. And he says, you know something? I didn't bless him. And he says, every day I get older, I regret it more and more. Why didn't I give him my first blessing? Anyway, I want to bless you and me. We should never ever regret that we didn't give this person our blessing. Then when it comes to people, I'll tell you. You know, the Yita Kodesh, we were talking so much the whole week about the Yita Kodesh, Rabbi Shlomo. You know those two best friends? They were the top students in Lublin. And usually the Yita Kodesh from Shishka would come to Lelev, pick up Rabbi Dovitel, and they would walk to Lublin. The saddest thing about Rabbi Dovitel and Lelev was that he stopped in every house to say hello. In every state that he came, and he always took with him 10,000 tons of candies to give out to the kids and everything. And the Yita Kodesh, you know, he was a different person. She didn't have stands in him. It's going on his nerves. You know, from Lelev to Lublin, it's maybe 2 days walking. They're already walking for 2 weeks because they stop everywhere. This house, one more house. Finally, the Yita Kodesh says to the head, listen, I love you, you're my best friend, but I'm at the end. I want to get to Lublin tonight. Please don't stop anymore. You can go see it. As two holy hippies, the Yita Kodesh, Rabbi Dovitel schlepping himself on the highway. So Rabbi Dovitel says, okay, he says, I won't stop anymore so much. But I just have to make one more stop. It's a must by Moshe the baker. The Yita Kodesh says, you know, my patience was at the end. I says, you go to Moshe the baker, I'm going to Lublin. After that, the Yita Kodesh says, my whole life, I regret it. Why didn't I go to Moshe the baker? So I want to bless all of us. We should never miss out on giving somebody a blessing. We should never miss out on any Moshe the baker. Who knows what. And you see, the more we fix our roots, the more we have our act together. And the moment you have your act together, then the way, so to speak, heaven is leading you by the hand. It's completely, it's a different schedule. It's not much a different schedule. And I bless you also sometimes with non-scheduled flights, you know, suddenly out of nowhere. And Mamish, thank you so much. Good Shabbos with you. Everybody say some holy words.
Thank you, Gilly.
Trees, they see the sun is shining,
All right,
the
then.
stars and the heavens.